Hello, dear students. Good morning. This is Professor S.B. Bhendigeri, Department of Economics, taking online classes for PUC first year commerce students. Dear students, today let us have a discussion on the most important topic, that is organization of data, which is the third unit in the statistics for economics part. And you will have to understand very systematically. Right from this unit, you have to have maximum number of calculations. You have to understand statistical calculations systematically. Once you understood, you will never forget. And you have to have a lot of patience to understand this particular topic. And very technical in nature, very interesting topic, and also important topic for the examination point of view. So let us have a discussion on the unit 3, that is organization of data. Look at the introduction. In the introduction, you are able to understand the heart of the topic. If you are understanding these 3-4 lines, whichever I have shown in that slide, you are easily understanding what is there in the topic. These 3-4 lines are very much important to understand the entire topic. What you are going to learn in this particular topic, if you are able to know. In this chapter, you will learn how the raw data collected is classified. I hope you understood. How the raw data is collected and is classified. The purpose of classifying raw data is to bring order in them. Okay, why you are classifying those raw data? You have to bring order in that data, whatever you are collecting, subjected to further statistical analysis. If you are going for further statistical calculation analysis, you have to classify whatever raw data you are going to collect in the beginning. Okay, you have to classify it, analyze it very systematically. For this particular topic, you have to observe the local junk dealer who is coming near to your house for collecting so many waste materials like old newspaper, broken household items, empty glasses and bottles, plastics, and broken chairs, tables, like that. Once he collecting all these broken items by paying something to them, he is not able to, for example, resell those items immediately to the next person. Before going to resell for recycling these items to the next person, what he does is he is classifying the amount of items what he is purchased by you and me. Suppose, for example, he has purchased newspaper, broken glasses, bottles, broken chairs and tables, whatever. He is putting all those items in a bag, for example, while purchasing. After purchasing it, when he go to home, he classify all those items systematically in a place. For example, he is keeping old newspapers in a place, and he is keeping broken glasses in different place, and he is keeping different broken bottles, for example, in another place. Like that, he is segregating all those, for example, items. After segregating all those items, he is going to resell those items to the, for example, person who is recycling those items, for example. So it means what? After collecting the raw information. You will have to classify the raw information in a systematic manner to understand what is there in that. Okay, this is what the organization of data. Organization of data in the sense you have to organize the data in a systematic manner. Whatever data you are collecting, after that you have to organize it very systematically for your understanding, for your further statistical analysis. I hope you understood, my dear students. This is the heart of the, for example, topic, that is introduction. Okay. Now coming to the next part, that is classification of data. How we are going to classify the data? Classification of data is not an easy task. Okay, there are a number of different questions arise in front of you while classifying the data whichever you are going to collect. The classification of data is always depends upon the nature of the, for example, subject, the nature of the activity, the nature of the process. Okay. So because of that, classification of data is very much important to understand for further statistical analysis. Classification of data in the sense the groups or classes of a classification is done in various ways. You have to make different groups or classes of different classification of data. For example, what I said in the beginning, that a junk dealer, after purchasing all those junk items, he is going to classify. He is going to make a different groups of that items. After that only he is able to understand, he is coming to the conclusion of how to resell those items. If he is not doing that, he is not able to resell those items to another person. This is what classification of data. Look at the example for that. Suppose take example of book, textbook for example. If you are going to classify the textbooks, there are a number of different ways to classify a single textbook, for example. Single textbook in the sense there are different textbooks. You are classifying those textbooks on different ways. You may classify the books on the basis of subject wise, for example. In the beginning, you may classify textbooks on the basis of subject wise. Take for example, you are having a, for example, group of textbooks. Out of it, if you are going to classify those textbooks, you may classify on the basis of subject titles. Suppose, if you are having 5 books, of group of 5 books for example, out of it, there are different, for example, titled books like economics, history, political science, sociology, accountancy, business studies. When you are classifying those books, textbooks for example, on the basis of the subject titles, it is a easiest way to understand how many books are there in a particular group, for example, and what all types of books are there in that particular group, for example. Otherwise, you may classify the same textbooks on the basis of author wise in an alphabetical order. Okay. Author wise means the person who has written that textbook. Alphabetically also again you can classify those textbooks, for example. Okay. And again, you may classify those textbooks on the basis of year wise publication. Suppose you have collected 10 to 15 books. Those books are publicated, for example, in different years. If you are classifying those books on the basis of year of publication, you are able to understand in which year how many books are published. Okay. But it depends on our requirements. Last sentence is very interesting. What is our requirement? Is our requirement is subject-wise classification? Is our requirement is author-wise classification in alphabetical order? Is our requirement is year-wise publication? So on the basis of nature of the work, I said in the beginning, nature of the process, nature of the, for example, what we call it as research, we can go and classify those textbooks. So it always depends upon our requirements. I hope you understood, my dear students. Now coming to the types of classification of data. How to classify the data in a systematic manner. You have to understand. This is most important topic for 4 marks or else 6 marks sometimes. Question in the examination. They may ask to explain the types of classification of data. Okay, look at the first classification. That is chronological classification. Very easy. The term chronology is there in that particular type. You will have to understand this is related to time. Okay, chronological classification is always related to time. For example, what I said in the beginning, in that example, year-wise publication. Okay, so year-wise publication is an example for chronological classification. What is the meaning of that? The data which is classified on the basis of time. It may be a year, it may be a quarter, for example, it may be a month, it may be a week or daily. Okay, you may classify data on the basis of year-wise. For example, every 3 months wise, monthly for example, weekly or daily. Here also it is depends upon your requirement. Are you going to collect data year-wise or every 3 months, or else monthly data you want, or else weekly or daily? It depends upon your nature of work, your nature of process, your nature of research. Okay, so you can classify those data according to your requirement. That is called as chronological classification. One more thing is very important here. You may classify those available data for example, in a chronological order, either in ascending order or else in descending order. It is also depends on our requirements. If we want data in ascending order, we can analyze it. We can, for example, present it. Okay. If we want data in descending order, we may also classify those data in a descending order. So it is also depends, for example, on the basis of different person, different activity, different person or research activities, for example. Dear students, I hope you understood. Take the example for that chronological classification of data. Suppose, if you are taking the example of population of India, what was the population of India between 1951 to 2001? If you are going to collect the data information of population of India between 1951 to 2001, how to classify that? If you are collecting the data like 35.7 and for example 43.8, 54.6, like that you are collecting all these data, but you will have to classify those data in a systematic manner, year-wise or else monthly population, for example, or quarterly increase in the population or daily increase in the population. I have taken the example of yearly increase in the population here. What was the population in 1951? In 1951, population of India was 35.7 crore. In 61, it is 43.8 crore, 71, 54.6 crore, 1981, 68.4 crore, 1991, 81.8 crore, in 2001, 102.7 crore. Every 10 years, every decade, population of India census will takes place. Okay. So here what happened? In that 50 years of time, what was the India's population? If you are supposed to know, you can chronologically, you have to order it, you have to classify it, then only you are able to understand in which decade what was the population of India in that 50 years of time. I hope you understood. So this is all about chronological classification, and also objective question in the examination they may ask, what is chronological classification of data? It means what? The data which is classified on the basis of time is called as chronological classification. Okay. Now coming to the second classification of data, type of classification of data, that is spatial classification. Try to understand very systematically. And one more important thing, my dear students, without understanding these topics, don't write your own answer for any statistical questions. So these are very technical. You need to answer those questions very specifically. Without understanding those topics, you are not able to answer for those questions. Okay? Spatial classification. It means the data which is classified on the basis of geographical area or location. See, in the first type of classification, data is classified on the basis of time. Here, on the basis of geographical area or location. These important things you have to understand here. If it is chronological classification, it will be the classification on the basis of time. If it is spatial, it will be the classification on the basis of area or location. Okay. If you are collecting the raw data from Belgaum district, suppose in Belgaum district there are 10 talukas, you are collecting the data from all talukas of Belgaum district. If you are collecting the data from all talukas of the Belgaum district, you are not able to understand what is there in that. You are not coming to the conclusion. You are not making it analyze. You are not able to understand what is there in that. You can't give the clear picture for that data. When you will get the picture? When you are classifying those data on the basis of taluka level, local level, for example. Okay. You are able to understand in Belgaum district what is the status of, for example, a particular activity in that particular, for example, taluka place. Okay. You may classify those data on the basis of geographical area or location. You may classify on the basis of local, taluka level, district level, state level, national level, international level. Okay. So here also it depends. If you want data on the basis of local level, again you have to classify those data on the basis of local. If you want data on the basis of, for example, taluka level, you have to collect the data of all talukas of Belgaum district. After that, you are going to classify those data systematically taluka wise. Then you are able to understand what is the status of district in that particular process. Okay, state wise, national wise, or international wise. I have given one example for that. Look at the example. Yield of wheat in different countries. Okay, different countries yield capacity per acre, or else, for example, total yield of wheat in kg or in terms of acres. Okay, of different countries I have taken. I wanted the information of yield of wheat in different countries. It is my research. It is my research topic. I am going to collect. I am doing research. I am pursuing research on per acre yield, or else total amount of wheat, for example, total amount of yield of wheat in the different countries of the world. I have taken 6 examples over here. Means 6 countries example of yield of wheat, either in kg terms or else in acre, for example. Look at the column first, that is country USA. I have taken the information of USA. USA is yield of wheat is 1925 kg per acre. Okay, per acre yield of wheat in USA is 1925 kg, for example. In Brazil, it is 127. In China, it is 893. In Denmark, it is 225. In France, it is 439. In India, it is 862. If we are going to compare the yield of wheat of India to other countries, we have to collect the information of different countries. Then only we are able to understand what is the India status in yield of wheat compared to few neighboring countries, or less compared to different countries of the world. It means what? It is always depends upon geographical area or location. In Indian location, what is the yield of wheat in India? In USA location, what is the yield of wheat? For example, if you are able to understand the yielding capacity of wheat in these two countries, you are able to understand the actual status of the country, whether India is good in, for example, producing wheat or else USA, for example. Okay, like that, spatial classification gives the clear information of classification of data on the basis of geographical area or location. Okay, now coming to the third type of classification of data, that is qualitative classification. The data which is classified on the basis of attributes or characters. It is very interesting. The data which is classified on the basis of attributes or characters. Here there is no question of geographical area, time, kg, acre, for example. Attributes or characters you have to find out. Okay, take the example of gender. If you are giving the gender option, you have to give male or female. Suppose I have given the example of India's population in chronological classification. Out of that India's population, in 2001 I said 102.7 crore population was there in India. Out of that 102.7 crore population of India, if you are classifying the data on the basis of gender, I hope you understood. If you are classifying the total population of India in 2001 on the basis of gender, you have to give two options there, male and female. Out of 102.7 crore India's population in 2001, how much was male population and how much was female population? Okay. Out of that again, you have to reclassify. Out of that 102.7 crore population in India, if you are going to give the marital status option, again you have to reclassify. In 102.7 crore population, how many were married? How many were unmarried? Again you are giving the clear picture. Now coming to the next stage. Out of that 102.7 crore population in 2001, what was the male literacy ratio? How many male population, for example, got educated and how much female population got educated? So here, on the basis of gender and marital status or literacy, you may classify the available data, that is called as qualitative classification. Now coming to the next one, that is quantitative classification. Here, the data which is classified on the basis of quantity or size, it is very interesting again. In quantitative classification, the data which is classified on the basis of quantity or size, that is called as quantitative classification. Take the example of height, income, for example. Okay, I hope you understood. Height, income, or marks of the students. Okay, I said quantity or size. If you are going to take the height of, for example, 10 students in the class, height will be different. If you are taking the income of 10 farmers in a village, that will be different in size, different in quantity. If you are taking a marks, for example, marks of 10 students in the class, again you are going to, for example, see differentiation in the marks of the students. So like that, quantitative classification explains the data which is classified on the basis of quantity or size, for example. I hope you understood these things. Now look at the meaning of variable. It is very interesting, my dear students. For further calculation part, you have to understand these basics here. Okay. Meaning of variable. Variable is nothing but it is a characteristic or number or quantity that can be measured or counted. Listen to me carefully. Variable is nothing but it is a characteristic or number or quantity that can be measured Variable in the sense observation. Okay. Observation that can be measured, okay, or counted. It is also called as a data item. Example: age, sex, and income. If you are collecting the data of age of different person, okay, if you are collecting the age of 10 members, for example, the age is always differentiates, okay, and you are going to classify out of that 10 members how many members are, for example, falling between 20 to 30 years, how many members are falling between 30 to 40 years, how many members are falling between 40 to 50 years, how many members are falling between 50 to 60 years. We are going to classify that very systematically on the basis of that number of observations. Okay. And sex, for example, out of that 10 members, how many are male and how many are female? Out of that 10 members, the income of all members, if you are going to collect, immediately you are able to understand who is rich, who is poor in that, and what is the income of an individual. And income of each individual you are able to understand with the help of these variables. There are two types of variable, my dear students. In that, first one is continuous variable. Here, these are also very important objective questions in the examination. They may ask what is variable. They may ask what is continuous variable. They may ask what is discrete variable. Okay, these are most important objective questions in the examination. So try to understand very systematically. Here, if you are looking at the types of variable, first one is continuous variable. It means it takes any numerical or integral value like 1 to 10. Okay, listen to me. Continuous variable means it takes all observations. Okay, observation, I said, no, the marks of 10 students, income of 10 farmers, okay, height of 10, for example, students, like that. It takes any numerical or integral value like 1 to 10, means all, for example, values are taking into account when it comes to continuous variable. And all types of fractions like 1 upon 2, 2 upon 4, 3 upon 4, like that. Okay, all types of fractions also comes under the calculation of continuous variable. But look at the second type of variable, discrete variable. It is very interesting, little different than continuous variable. It can take only certain values. Its value changes only by infinite jumps from one value to another. Here you have to understand very systematically. Discrete variable is not taking all the numerical or integral values. It takes randomly. It takes random values. Okay. And there must be infinite jumps between the values. And it does not take any intermediate numbers. Suppose, look at the example. If 1 upon 8 is there, 1 upon 16 is there, 1 upon 32 is there. Between 1 upon 8 to 1 upon 16, there are different integral values, numerical values are there, but it will not take that. Okay. So there must be infinite jumps between the values when it comes to discrete variable. It is also very important for some reason. It's also required for some requirements. Okay. It is also very important for some requirements. It is also depends upon our own requirements. Okay. So it will not take middle values of these fractions. Okay. If we are going to take 1 upon 8, 1 upon 16, 1 upon 32, these values only it will take into consideration. Between values, middle values, for example, of these fractions will not be taken into account by discrete variable. I hope you understood, my dear students. This is all about the introduction part and various types of classification of data and meaning of variable and its types. In the next class, very interesting class is there in the topic is there in the next class. Try to understand all these things very systematically. Okay. If you are having any doubts, you may ask me at any time. Okay. put your doubts in the drop box. Okay, you will get the answers. Okay, so this is all about the introduction and types of classification of data. In the next class, let us have a discussion on the frequency. That is a very important topic, my dear students. Okay, till then, thank you very much for your patience.